I met my wife while she was in another relationship. I was immediately drawn to her, and we rapidly became good friends. I met her then boyfriend for the first time a few weeks after meeting her, and my initial impression upon seeing him was, "Oh right, I can handle it." Throughout the evening, he gave the sense that he was working hard to ensure that I and everyone else he met left away with the notion that he was just the coolest, that their connection was strong. But I knew better, not because of anything she said, but because of how exhausted she appeared whenever she mentioned him. No matter what she said, good, terrible, or indifferent, she always looked exhausted whenever he came up in conversation, and whenever I saw them together. I saw him on occasion in the months that followed, but I saw her virtually every day since we worked together. We got quite close, finally establishing that we were best friends. I had been telling myself for quite some time that I was in love with her. During the winter, she was unable to get to work since she lacked transportation. I provided her with transportation whenever she needed them. Her partner had the time and capacity to drive her to work, but he chose not to. So I did instead. I'd take her every opportunity I could get, even on weekends. Even though her shift began at 4 a.m., this became the norm for several months, and we got pretty close on these rides. I was having a great time. Every minute with her was and still is a treasure over a decade later. She confided in me about how bad her relationship was. She told me how he raged at her, manipulated her, verbally, emotionally, and occasionally assaulted her. It was at times rather raw. On one occasion, one of our coworkers was throwing a party at their house and invited many other coworkers and their partners for drinks and games. I inquired whether she and her partner intended to attend. She stated that they were. Despite the presence of her partner, I was as delighted to see her as I had always been. However, he changed his mind and chose not to come. He probably expected her to stay at home with him, but she told him she was going anyhow. I was overjoyed when she showed there without him. She relaxed in a manner I hadn't seen before that night. She was carefree, confident, and hilarious. It was fantastic to watch her come to life in that way. I'd always suspected that side of her existed, and it was amazing to see it emerge among friends. We remained close throughout the night. When it was time to play a game, I sat in a huge plush chair, designed for one person but large enough for two if they wanted to snuggle. We succeeded. It was electrifying. I'll never forget the moment she sat next to me, my arm around her. It was the first time in a long time that I felt like I was precisely where I needed to be. Her relationship with her lover began to deteriorate over the following few months. She requested me to take her to my house after work one day. Her partner wasn't going to be home for a few hours, and she didn't want to be in their shared area. We sat on my couch and watched a movie together, simply enjoying each other's company. She checked her phone at the conclusion of the movie and noticed she had missed many texts and phone calls from her lover. She requested me to pause the movie and then returned his call. I sat next to her on the couch as she chatted with him. He immediately began yelling at her for not being at home, and I could hear everything. I've never heard such heinous stuff in my life. I was completely stunned. I couldn't even comprehend what she was going through. She informed him that she was returning home and requested me to accompany her. I inquired whether she was certain. I was scared at the prospect of exposing her to such atmosphere, but she insisted that the explosion I had just watched was not even that severe. We hadn't discussed her breaking up with him until that time. The matter came up on the way to her house. She voiced her concern that no one would ever want to be with her. I said I would date you. I also informed her that I would never, ever treat her the way he did. Abusive relationships are difficult to quit, so she stayed with him for a few months longer. During that period, she and I became very close. Eventually, the stress became too much for us, and our physical relationship, which had previously consisted of simply regular embraces and occasional snuggling, became even more intimate, with intimacy that was better than anything either of us had experienced. The first time was difficult, but the second was spectacular. It's only grown better since then. She cheated on him with me for 29 days. It was the most exciting and wonderful 4 weeks of my life. We were madly in love with each other. He never addressed her directly about her and me, but I suppose he realized deep down that he'd lost control of her. He did not handle the loss of control well, and it took myself and many of our other close friends to get her to leave after she informed us he had shoved her down the stairs. While he was at work, several people took a lunch break and went to his apartment, took her belongings, and moved her out of there. I doubt she ever saw him again. We were both ready to be with each other a week or two later. We married and have been in a happy, healthy, and successful relationship since. We married about 2 years ago and had been together for nearly 9 years. When she left him, he briefly returned to their hometown and began seeing an old acquaintance who was considerably younger than he was. Neither should anybody else. My wife isn't as enthusiastic about how we met as I am. It was exhilarating for me, and I remember that period warmly. But it was upsetting for her, which I completely understand. It's been tough for her to understand. We don't talk about it often, which is okay. I'm eternally thankful to my wife. I adore her, and I have done and will continue to make certain that she believes she made the correct decision in choosing to be with me every day. I'm sure that wasn't an easy decision for her to make. I don't like the fact that she was mistreated, and it wasn't my purpose to imply that I do. I didn't try to trick her. She chose me, and I choose her. Every day I pick her. That's what I enjoy. I don't believe in soulmates, if that's exactly what she and I are. I don't know what more to say. We felt as if we'd always been connected in some manner when we met. This is something she and I frequently discuss. It would take several blogs to adequately express the depth and strength of our bond. Thank you for listening to the story to the end, and if you like it, please support us with a like as well as subscribe to our channel. Write in the comments what you think about the story.